y'all for stopping by Southern Storytime again. Tonight we have 3 fables that my brothers and I received when we were younger, that we used to read. Actually, I got these books before I could even read, really. And we have tonight The Lion and the Rat, The North Wind and the Sun, and The Dog and the Meat. We're going to start with The Lion and the Rat. One day, a rat walked by accident between a lion's paws. But the lion allowed him to escape unharmed. The rat thanked the lion and said, "One day I shall repay you for your kindness." The lion laughed to himself. How could such a tiny creature help me, the lord of the jungle, he thought. A few months later, the lion was out hunting in the forest when he fell into a trap. He roared in fury and struggled with all his might. But he could not escape. All the animals heard the lion and rushed to find him. The lion asked each of them in turn for help, but they said, "How can weak creatures like us help you, the lord of the jungle?" And so they went away. Just then, the rat came by. He saw the lion in trouble and ran to help him. He gnawed and gnawed right through the net until at last the lion was freed. So the little rat, by patience and hard work, was able to do what the lion, in all his strength and rage, could not. That was The Lion and the Rat. Up next we have The North Wind and the Sun. One morning, the North Wind and the Sun saw a horseman wearing a new cloak. "That young man looks very pleased with his new cloak," said the North Wind, "but I could easily blow it off his back if I wanted to." "I don't think you could," said the Sun, "but let us both try to do it. You can try first." The North Wind began to blow and blow and blow. People had to chase after their hats. Leaves were blown from the trees. All the animals were frightened. The ships in the harbor were sunk. The North Wind blew with all his might, but it was no use, for the horseman just pulled his cloak more tightly around him. "My turn now," cried the Sun. As he gave out his gentle heat, insects hummed and flowers opened. The birds began to sing. The animals lay down to sleep. And the people came out to gossip. The horseman began to feel very hot, and when he came to a river, he took off his clothes and went in for a swim. So the Sun was able to achieve by warmth and gentleness what the North Wind in all his strength and fury could not do. That was the North Wind and the Sun. And finally we have The Dog and the Meat. Rogue the Labrador was very pleased with himself. He had seen the butcher setting out some juicy pieces of meat on a tray in his shop. He stopped, his nose quivering at the lovely smells, and then saw the butcher's back was turned. He rushed in, picked up the biggest piece of meat he could see, and ran out of the shop as fast as he could. "Hey, come back here," the butcher shouted, brandishing his chopper. "Come back, you bad dog." But Rogue only ran faster, the meat between his teeth. He was going to enjoy a treat. The village was left far behind him, and Rogue took a shortcut across the field so that he would soon be home on the farm and able to eat his feast. He could feel the juice from the meat running down his jaws, but he dared not open his mouth to lick it. This was going to be the best meal he had had for ages. Prime beef, his favorite of all meats. There was a small stream running through the field with a little planked bridge over it. Rogue ran across it and was halfway when the sun, shining on the water, showed his reflection below him. He stopped, one paw held up in surprise, and peered down. He could see what he thought was another Labrador with another piece of meat in his mouth. He was sure that the other piece of meat looked bigger than his piece. He must have both of them, or at least the bigger bit. Rogue bent down low over the water and snarled, the meat still held between his jaws. To his surprise, the other dog seemed to snarl too. This was too much. With a growl, he jumped straight into the water, dropping the meat as he did so, and the current swept it away out of sight, much to the delight of an otter in a clump of weeds. Rogue found himself in the middle of the stream. There was no dog or meat to be seen. Worst of all, he had lost the lovely piece of meat he had been carrying. Shaking himself, he jumped out of the water. How silly he had been to want more than he already had. Now he had lost everything.